There's a Kenmore refrigerator in a kitchen somewhere in this country that ran for 31 years. Never a single repair call. Same family, same kitchen, 31 years. Last month, it finally stopped. The daughter went to buy a replacement. She asked the salesman for a Kenmore. He pointed her toward the appliance aisle at Lowe's. She found one and brought it home. 6 months later, the compressor failed. She called the number on the warranty card, was transferred 3 times, and finally reached someone who told her the nearest authorized service technician was 40 miles away with a 6-week wait. She wrote to me and said, "This is not the same company my mother trusted." She was right. It was not. Most people do not realize this, but Kenmore never made anything. They never owned a factory. They never built a single refrigerator or washing machine. What Kenmore did was something far more valuable. They set the standards. They told Whirlpool or Frigidaire or whoever was building the machine exactly what specs to hit, what parts to use, what quality level was acceptable, and then Sears backed it with their name and their nationwide service network. That was the deal. You were not buying a manufacturer. You were buying Sears' promise that this machine met their standards. And for decades, that promise was worth more than any factory. That Kenmore refrigerator was not just an appliance. It was a handshake across generations, the same handshake your grandmother got when she bought her Kenmore washer. Sears made those handshakes for over 100 years. Then, one man broke every single one. His name was Eddie Lampert. And this is how a hedge fund manager took the most trusted retailer in American history and burned it to the ground while paying himself to do it. Before we talk about how Sears died, you need to understand what Sears was. In 1886, a railroad station agent in Minnesota named Richard Sears bought a shipment of watches that a local jeweler refused to accept. He sold them for a profit. He quit his job and started a mail order company. By 1893, Sears and his partner Alva Roebuck were shipping catalogs to farms across America, places that had never seen a department store, places where the general store charged whatever it wanted because there was no competition. The Sears catalog changed that. By 1900, that catalog was 500 pages. You could buy a sewing machine, a bicycle, a rifle, furniture, and yes, an entire house. Sears sold kit homes, 70,000 of them, shipped by rail and assembled by hand. Many are still standing today. For rural Americans, that catalog was freedom. You ordered from the book, you paid a fair price, nobody could turn you away. By the 1970s, Sears was the largest retailer on earth, 350,000 employees. They built the Sears Tower, 110 stories of American dominance, and they built brands your family still talks about, Kenmore appliances. Since 1913, your grandmother's Kenmore refrigerator probably outlived 2 presidents. Craftsman tools since 1927, lifetime warranty, no receipt required. Made in America. Die-hard batteries since 1967, the battery your father trusted when it was 15 below zero. These were not just products, they were institutions. And then came Eddie Lampert. If you want to understand what happened to Sears, you need to understand one thing about Eddie Lampert. He was not a retailer, he was a hedge fund manager. Lampert made his fortune at Goldman Sachs in the 1980s. In 1988, he started his own hedge fund called ESL Investments. His job was not building companies. His job was extracting value from them. In 2003, Lampert bought a controlling stake in Kmart. It was bankrupt. Most investors saw a dying discount chain. Lampert saw something else. Real estate. Kmart owned hundreds of stores on valuable land. Lampert did not invest in the stores. He did not improve the shopping experience. He squeezed costs. He sold assets. The stock price went up and hedge fund managers cheered. Then, in 2005, Lampert did the unthinkable. He merged Kmart with Sears. This was not a rescue mission. This was a takeover. Lampert's hedge fund controlled nearly 40% of the new company. He became chief executive officer and chairman. From day one, he did not run Sears like a retailer. He ran it like a hedge fund portfolio. He refused to invest in stores. Former employees described locations with leaking roofs, broken escalators, empty shelves. One executive said, "Walking into a Sears store felt like walking into a time capsule from 1985, except everything was falling apart." He slashed marketing. And while competitors were spending billions to stay relevant, Sears virtually disappeared from television. He cut staff until there was almost no one left to help customers. And here's what he did with the money he saved. He bought back $6 billion worth of Sears stock. This pushed the share price up temporarily, which made his hedge fund look brilliant. But it drained the company of cash it desperately needed. Same-store sales declined every single year under his leadership. Not one year of growth, not one. But that was always the plan. If you have been watching, you know I talk about companies that strip brands for parts, private equity firms, holding companies, conglomerates that buy trust and sell it for scrap. Eddie Lampert wrote the playbook. This gets personal because what Lampert did next, he did to himself. Here's how you strip a 100-year-old company for parts while telling everyone you're trying to save it. Step 1, Create a separate company that you control. Sell your best assets to yourself at a discount. In 2015, Lampert created a real estate investment trust called Seritage Growth Properties. His hedge fund owned 43% of Seritage, and he was the chairman. Then, Sears sold 253 of its best store locations to Seritage, effectively to Lampert. Sears got $2.7 billion for those stores. Sounds like a lot, but here's the trick. Now Sears had to pay rent to Lampert for stores Sears used to own. In 2 years, Sears paid Seritage $349 million in rent, plus insurance, property taxes, and utilities. When Sears closed those stores, Seritage got to redevelop the land. 94 projects were worth $1.4 billion. Sears got weaker, Seritage got richer. The same man was at the top of both. Step 2, sell your iconic brands. In 2014, Lampert spun off Lands' End, the clothing company that was actually making money. Kenmore, the crown jewel, would eventually end up with Transform Commerce company Lampert created to buy Sears out of bankruptcy. He sold Sears to himself. Step 3, collect interest on loans you made to the company you were running into the ground. Lampert's hedge fund loaned money to Sears at interest while he was CEO. Sears paid $400 million in interest to its own chairman. When Sears filed for bankruptcy in October 2018, creditors alleged that Lampert had extracted over $2 billion in assets through fees, interest, and real estate transactions over the years. Lampert denied any wrongdoing. He bought what was left of Sears out of bankruptcy for $5.2 billion and promised to save 425 stores and 45,000 jobs. Go check how many Sears stores are left today. The number will make you sad, but the numbers are not the real story. The real story is what happened to the people. A woman who worked at Sears for 38 years wrote to a reporter after the bankruptcy. She started in the children's department and ended up handling orders in the back office. When the company went under, they cut off her severance payments. She was owed $20,000. It was gone. She said she felt robbed. It was a slap in the face after nearly 4 decades. She was not alone. Sears once had over 100,000 retirees collecting pension benefits. People who had worked their entire careers trusted that their retirement was secure. When the company went bankrupt, the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation warned the deal would create a $1.7 billion funding gap in the pension fund. Let me tell you what that means in plain language. If you worked at Sears for 30 years and they promised you a pension, you might get less than what you were promised, maybe a lot less, because the money that was supposed to be there was not there anymore. Lampert blamed the pensions for killing Sears. He said the company had paid $4.5 billion into pension plans since the Kmart merger. Meanwhile, creditors alleged he had collected billions through hedge fund fees, interest payments, and rent through Seritage. Lawmakers sent him letters and called it a betrayal of the workers who built the company. His lawyers filed motions asking the court to cancel $43 million in severance payments. The workers who gave Sears their entire careers, many of them got nothing. So what does this mean for you right now? If you are standing in that store, looking at a Kenmore, the brand is still technically alive, owned by Transform Co., Lampert's company. Remember what I said at the beginning. Kenmore never owned a factory. They were a brand name on machines built by other companies, Whirlpool, LG, Samsung, Frigidaire. But what made Kenmore valuable was Sears standing behind it. Sears dictated the specs, set the quality standards, controlled the warranty, and if something went wrong, you drove to the nearest Sears store and somebody helped you. That was the value, not manufacturing. Accountability. Now, Transform Co. has no manufacturing, almost no stores. They license the name. They sell through Amazon, Lowe's, Target. The Kenmore your grandmother trusted was backed by the largest retailer in America, by service technicians in every major city, by a warranty that meant something because the company had something to lose. The Kenmore you buy today is a name on a box made by whoever bid lowest. No standards behind it, no store to walk into, no handshake. This is not just a Sears story. It is the story of what happens when people who understand finance take over from people who understand customers. The pattern is always the same. A financial firm buys a company with real assets, real estate, brand names, customer loyalty built over decades. They do not invest in the future. They harvest the past. They sell the real estate, lease it back, drain the cash, sell the brands, load the company with debt, and fund stock buybacks. Then, when there is nothing left, bankruptcy. The workers lose their jobs. The pensioners lose their retirement. The customers lose brands they trusted for generations. And the people who engineered all of it walk away wealthy. Eddie Lampert lives on a private island in Miami. He still runs what is left of Sears by video conference. He did not kill Sears with a single bad decision. He killed it with a philosophy. The idea that a 100-year-old company with 350,000 employees, with brands that families trusted for generations, was nothing more than a collection of assets waiting to be liquidated. So here's what I want you to do. If you see Kenmore in a store, check who actually made it. Flip the machine around. Find the manufacturer label. You will usually find Whirlpool or LG or someone else. Then ask yourself, would you rather buy a Kenmore sticker on an LG, or just buy the LG directly and skip the middleman who has nothing standing behind them anymore? Your grandmother did not shop at Sears because it was convenient. She shopped there because she trusted them. The catalog that came to her farm, the tools that never broke, the appliances that lasted 30 years. That trust took a century to build. It took one man 13 years to destroy. Tell me, did your family shop at Sears? Do you still have a Kenmore appliance that is older than you are? Those stories, the things that lasted, the things your parents passed down, are proof of what we lost.